The reason I predicted NFTs was because of Farmville.
You got your perspective. I just want to be happy. Don't you want to be happy?
May 5th, before we watch this video, May 5th, I'm dropping it. Huge project. Please pay attention to all my socials, all my channels. May 5th, I've got a secret project. I'm dropping it with a complete focus on making sure, A, that everybody part of this community, my OG social media content, YouTube, gets to really win. Wait till you see the way I structured this. This isn't just the art. There's a lot of access and community and a lot of fucking thoughtfulness. Months and months in the making. May 5th, be ready. Have your MetaMask filled with as much Ethereum as you can afford. We're doing it.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
I saw all the waves and hugs and claps.
Hello.
I didn't miss
Yes,
it.
they were all for you. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving our graduates some helpful advice going into their careers. So with that, I would love to give you the stage.
Thank you. First of all, I refuse to give this talk and Q&A session if this many people are off screen. I need the humanity. I need the faces. And there's way too many attractive photos that I know are followed up by real life. There you go, Chris. Thank you, my guy. There we go. Fernando, good. Jessica, thanks. Okay, so I need that for a couple of seconds. DP, the whole fam's there. I love it.
Yeah, everyone.
Great. So I want to go into as much Q&A as possible in this short period of time, but I'll give a couple of words, and then we'll go into that. So. First of all, congratulations to everybody. I'm sure this is an important, big moment. You know, I'm extremely close to my family, so seeing some of these family videos too has me pretty fired up. It's obviously a big day, and I just want to congratulate all of you for, you know, achieving this goal that I'm sure for many of you was on your mind for a long time, had its challenges, twists and turns. All those journeys do that. You know, as somebody who's a historically terrible student, I always have tremendous admiration to anybody that can get to this point. So I want to congratulate you on that. I think the other thing that I really want to talk about is the timing of this and what it means in the scheme of the world we now live in. You find yourself going into this next chapter in a time where the innovation and the opportunity to be creative is greater than ever. But the industry of advertising is at a crossroads where a lot of things of the past are being held on a pedestal at an emotional level. And even as those words started flowing out of my mouth, even though still there's way too many people off screen. Thelma Castan, get in here. Biker Doc. When I just delivered that, and this is why I love having your faces, I can see by the body language that many of you know, we are in massive transition in communication and creativity. You know, I'm sure many of you, and I see it every day in my halls and everywhere in the industry, like there's a very interesting game of not recognizing the internet. And I'm not kidding about that. I am fascinated by why, and why and how and by, most of all, of what is accepted or believed to be true. For example, quantity, the amount that is put out, is not debatable. If you make 13 commercials or 9 billboards or 7,000 Pinterest posts, that is not a debate. We will all have to agree that yes, Willie Diaz put out 6 tweets. They were 6, there it is. What is incredibly debatable is quality. And what has been the shocking thing for me to get into this universe over the last 13 years is that a human being's subjective opinion is wielded constantly inside of agencies, at the client level, and many other variables. And it is treated in this wacky world of advertising as truth, which is the single most laughable thing of all time. I don't care if Jessica Simmons goes on to win 77 Cannes Lions. When she's in a boardroom with me in 21 years and she says, this is right, I'm gonna look at her face and say, you mean you think it's right? And I think this is a very important subject matter, and that's why I was so excited to speak about this. I ask all of you because I want you to be happy. One of the things that has really hurt me looking at the creative industry, both in Hollywood, Madison Avenue, everywhere, is there's actually a lot of unhappiness in the industry because of the way that people play the politics around their opinions. And I come here and speak to you today with the hope that this could be the class, this could be the group that really tries to take on the baton, even as you enter the game or continue in the game, to really have a better conversation around opinions. These are subjective opinions. And to me, that is the most important elephant in the room. That once we get into a healthy place as a community of how we get to great work, until we get to that place, we will always have the shortcomings of being one of the least creative places on earth. I live in a lot of places, not just Adland. I'm going to make this very clear to everybody. The least creative place that I spend time is Adland. And we like to blame clients, and that is an escape. That is a falsity. What is blame is the insecurities and egos of senior executives in creative shops. Period. End of story. And I am on a one-man mission to talk about this in a healthy way. Does this mean that creative directors and CCOs aren't talented? There's many great ones. There's many talented ones, but let there be no confusion. I actually have compassion and empathy. You work so hard for 12 years to finally get your chance to do what you want. I literally believe that every television commercial, every one of them, is something I call vanilla Frankenstein. Let me explain vanilla Frankenstein. I come here today to warn you of vanilla Frankenstein. Vanilla Frankenstein is the following. From a client brief to a strategist thinking, to her handing it off to a creative team, to their ideas, hand it off to a production company that hires a director, and then finally has to be post-edited and approved by a client, tested in bullshit testing, and then shown on television. That is Frankenstein. That is not Palma's idea anymore. That is a little piece. And because of the way television works, it has to be vanilla because they're trying to make that 1 30-second video speak to everybody. And look at the beautiful differences in faces, genders, ages, and definitely ideas, interests, and all that in just this room, let alone the tremendous amount of the people on the other side of a commercial. There's nothing scarier to me in the world than vanilla Frankenstein, and it is 99% of what this industry puts on a pedestal, and it's sad and it must change. And I hope that this class becomes some of the voices that help that to happen, because that's the truth. Because you know what else is the truth? As I see family members shake their heads, nobody's watching these goddamn commercials. The hell are we talking about? Who watches commercials? And so we are changing, and this is good. This is not me. I'm not trying to, this is good. It's not bad. And by the way, I'm not making fun of I love the creative industry. I just want us to be self-deprecating, self-aware, and honest to what's happening. You know, meanwhile, Super Bowl is the most important stage in the world. Everybody's watching that. Nothing is more important to me. I think every day about next year's Super Bowl for my clients now. But this is about attention and where it's consumed. And once you get to that place, something else happens. Advertising was easy for a long time. It was TV, print, radio, outdoor, like you understood the rules for a half a century. It's hard now. Being creative and getting people to pay attention means you have to understand the context of your distribution. That has always been true from drawing in a cave to being on TV. Today, understanding the context of what works on TikTok versus Pinterest versus Instagram versus a pre-roll YouTube, a television spot, an OTT spot, a Spotify self-serve recorded ad, like it's all, NFTs are now in the building. I mean, do you understand what's going on? This is fun for you. This should be fun for you. I have compassion for it to be scary and not fun to the incumbents. And they will try to make you not think this is fun. It's not their fault. They're wonderful human beings that are worried about their families and their well-being. And that's what's manifesting. It doesn't mean they're bad. They're insecure, curious, concerned, worried, all the things all of us humans should be. That's what's manifesting in the halls of ad land. It's a big change. It's big change. It's not little change. It's a big change. And so what you're seeing is people hunkering down on trying to do one of two things. I'm hunkering down for the passion and conviction that I'm coming across in this talk. On the other side, you have people who know they want to be in business for another 12 years, who only know how to do it one way, who are hunkering down to keep the old way stuck until they can retire and go to Miami. And so the reality is, my friends, is come in eyes wide open. Come into this industry eyes wide open. Continue your journey in this industry eyes wide open. There's so much opportunity. It actually is about to get creative, but you need to be a voice. And let me explain what I mean by that. There's never been an era like this. There's some of us in here with gray hairs. And we all know that 23-year-olds and 25-year-olds and 27-year-olds didn't have a voice at the table when we were your age. Today you do. You take that for granted. I love your audacity and ambitions and conviction. It comes with some delusion, but we all still have delusion. Don't be hurt, Palma. But I'm telling you right now, listen, take advantage that you have a voice. There's a way to, listen, I own my own business. There is no board. I fully control it. I can be a tough guy on LinkedIn and all these platforms. You are gonna have a job. Somebody's your boss and their boss and the boss and the boss and the boss. So you're gonna have to deliver this conviction in a far more politically correct way. But it doesn't mean that you should be quiet. The number one thing I can tell you, and then I will go into Q&A. If you believe you're in the room and they're saying something about something you understand, whether that's TikTok, right? Whether that's LinkedIn, whatever that is, do not die on someone else's sword. Every day I walk and I'm in meetings and I see people biting their tongue because they don't agree. A lot of times they don't agree with me because they came from other agencies, and I make it safe for them to have dialogue. I'm a weird kind of character in the game. You're gonna be in a lot of rooms where it's gonna feel a lot less safe to do that. That is where you're going to have courage. And that's what I'm coming with here. To say what you believe in a respectful manner. Let me tell you why. In this change, a lot of things are gonna happen. Many of you are gonna find yourself in a place where you're not gonna wanna say something because you don't wanna come off as disruptive or things of that nature. But it is in those words where if you end up being historically correct, you will have your opportunities in the future. It's very important. Now, another very important part of that when you share your thoughts, remember that this is business. And here's what I mean by that. I've watched incredible amounts of people come into my company and have incredible passion because we make it safe, and they spit all their favorite words and they forget that they're coming from a place of just worrying about the creativity of it, not about the practicality of it. People come with all sorts of ideas. Ideas are cute, but when you're doing it for business stakes, you need the context of that reality. You might like it, but the person that's receiving that may not like it, and then they're not gonna buy that donut. You understand? So self-awareness, but conviction about things you know to be true in a time where it's never been more thoughtful and opportunistic to share that. I'm very humbled to be with you today. I'll open it up for Q&A now. Thank you for having me.
That's amazing. Thank you, Gary. That's awesome. I love that speech. So with that, I'm gonna open the Q&A. Why don't we start with Priscilla? I'm sure you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I have. Hi, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Really grateful to have you here. Okay, so my first question is, are you hiring?
Yes,
Yes.
big time. Listen, I'm a nice guy, but I'm here for my own agenda too. We're fucking hiring, so get your apps in. We are busy.
Love that. Okay, but actual question is, I've seen how you, back in 2010, you had an interview and you predicted the technology, the apps. You talked about Snapchat, you talked about a little bit about Twitter, and you even predicted the NFTs. And you even mentioned it. We right now, we're thinking about NFTs and how can we get that in the way. So I don't want to know no, never mind. I want to know how you did it. Not the predictions of the future, but how could you pinpoint the tendencies, the culture and everything, and you predicted this?
You know, it's funny, when you have my personality traits, people oftentimes think you're always talking, you're a big mouth, you're all this and that. I spend 98% of my time listening. That's how. Every second you don't see me doing this, I'm listening. I'm watching. I have incredible, you also have to be self-aware of what you were gifted with. I believe in doubling down on your natural strengths. I was gifted with intuition and curiosity and humility. And sometimes those aren't obvious with Garyvee on a piece of content, but they are absolutely my superpowers. And I rarely think I'm right. I just think I'm observing. And I really think about that stuff. And I watch and I listen and I understand how humans are wired, and I keep refining that and listening and refining. I have humility when I'm wrong. I like when I'm wrong, to be honest with you. It keeps you intact. And I go and I go and I move and I move and I move and I'm experienced. Don't forget, I'm a little bit unique. I have really been an entrepreneur and a listener and a seller and a marketer since I was 6. The reason I made that joke about school, I was a businessman in junior high, let alone high school. Like, I spent my weekends at baseball card shows and I would watch people, how they would come to my table. Why would they buy that? I would talk to people. At 7, 8, 9, I'm ringing doorbells trying to sell them my services to shovel their driveway after a snowstorm or wash their car. When I was 7 years old, I was sitting on the corner of New Jersey streets, watching cars drive by and looking at the driver's face to figure out where to put my lemonade stand sign. This has been my game my whole life. I've been chasing attention and understanding what people do my whole life. So at 45, I'm refined. I'm a vet. This is not something I went to school with. This is who I am. And so I stand out because I don't talk about things I don't know, which absolutely destroys people. So what that does is it lets, I love showing all these old videos, as you see, right? And the reason that people that razz me or compete with me don't have a lot of video to say, fuck Garyvee, look at all these wrong things, is I don't say a lot of things wrong. And here's why, Priscilla. Most of what I talk about isn't predicting. Let me give you an insight to why I was so right about NFTs. You ready? I've never shared this, but I'm giving it to you because I like your hair and I'm in the mood. Ready? The reason I predicted NFTs-ish, right? Because obviously I didn't know blockchain was coming, was because of Farmville. Right? I understood that our lives were becoming more and more digital. And I started watching people do things for sheep and spending money. And I understood that the same reason that somebody wants to wear a Gucci bag to flex or ride a BMW, humans need to communicate through their purchases. That's why the fashion industry exists. Otherwise, we'd all wear the same thing. Jessica's wearing those glasses because she's trying to communicate, right? Like, this is what we do. We communicate, right? Eric P's got his look, right? Like, we communicate. And so as we become more digital, the things we own in digital form take over for a pair of Jordache jeans in 1983, take over for fresh Nike collab Off-Whites today. They take over, and it's coming, and it's gonna be real. And I'm gonna be right while everybody thinks I'm wrong, because they're looking at things literally, and I'm thinking about things from a macro human standpoint.
Wow, that's a good question, good answer. Eric, you're next.
Okay, well, my question will be actually, you said that you love being wrong.
Yes.
And my question goes around that part and about how you deal with your mistake, how you learn from every time that you thought, oh, this is the next thing, and you have to stay quiet because it wasn't. But how do you handle that?
Easily and I'm gonna give you a very interesting answer to this question, Eric. The reason I deal so well with being wrong, which happens all the time, is because I don't get high when I'm right. Do you want to know the easiest way to deal with booing or with negative comments? Don't listen to the cheering and positive comments. I think the reason it's good for me, Eric, is because I stay in my very small cocoon within my own head, right in the middle. Listen, I'm living a life right now where I have a lot of accolades. And when I tell you, you can't imagine how much if I disappear off the face of the earth tomorrow, I'll get 12 hours of some love on social media and everybody here will move on with their lives. When you have the humility to know you mean nothing, but the ambition to mean everything, shit gets real interesting.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Interesting. Shirley, you're up next.
Hi, thank you for everything. Like, it was very inspiring and I really resonated with everything.
Thank you.
And so, wait.
You're good.
My question goes on the line of, have you ever been afraid of the path that you were walking and like, maybe you felt like, maybe like this is not my path and maybe I should do something else, and like how you fought that and how like you encouraged yourself to like go on and do, like, how do you know when I don't know if I'm complicating this question too much, but
you're not
your heart's telling you the right thing.
Yeah, not only are you not complicating it, you're exposing feelings. And I can tell you right now, you have to do the thing that you actually feel. Whatever the practical part of you, like, so I believe, and I hope I get to see it, but I think it's going to take some time. I believe that intuition is uncomfortably misunderstood in society. And I hope, like alcoholism and mental health, that I'll be on earth when we get to talking about intuition in a far more thoughtful way than we talk about it now. So I live, sure, in a way where my intuition trumps every thought I have. Every logical thing that you can tell me, if my chemicals are telling me something else, there's not even a debate. If my chemicals tell me I have to live underwater like a fish right now in a submarine, I would literally walk out of this room right now and do that. I think you have to start trusting your intuition. And if you're asking that question, you already know the answer. You're just dealing with the fear of the ramifications. And the way I talk about fear of ramifications is the following. You have to be humble and empathetic. Let me explain. A lot of times people don't want to do something else because it financially hurts them and they don't have the humility to live by taking one step backwards. A lesser home, a lesser car, a lesser vacation, right? So that's the humility that's needed to make the jump. And then empathy. The reason most people don't make jumps is they value other people's opinions more than their own happiness. Instead of being mad at yourself or even them, I try to get people to understand, be empathetic to your mom and dad. They love you. That means they're scared. By nature, love means fear. So if you're going to be a stand-up comedian after you decided to spend all this money on education, they're going to be scared. But don't be mad at them, and definitely don't be scared for yourself. You just know you need to go do it. You have to be empathetic that of course they're going to be scared or pissed if they paid for your education. But it's your life. And I can promise you one thing. When I was a child, I spent a lot of time with 70 and 80-year-old people. I'm not kidding. It was the weirdest thing. And finally, in my mid-40s, I'm starting to understand it. Whether I was born an old soul, whether wisdom came naturally to me, or because I did this and felt comfortable with grandparents, did I become a little bit more wise and did it rub off on me? I can promise you something, Shirley. There's nothing scarier in the world outside of the health and well-being of yourself and your loved ones, which is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Number 11 is regret. There's nothing scarier than regret. You want to see real pain outside of death and illness? Go talk to somebody who's 67, 74, 82, 91. Talk about life. They will always talk with pain in their eyes about the things they didn't do. YouTube watcher, what's up? It's Garyvee. First of all, thank you so much. I hope you're doing super well during these times. I also want to ask you, please subscribe, because my commitment and exploration of YouTube is about to explode. Stories, polls, more content, more engagement, more surprise and delight. This is the time to subscribe. I hope you consider it, and I hope I see you soon.